first Danish charter flight arrived in St. Croix Wednesday night, bringing more than 200 visitors to the territory. The government could be looking at massive layoffs come June if the legislative branch doesn't move quickly. FBI, U.S. Marshal Service, and several other federal agencies arrived here a little before noon and have been here for several hours. Bartenders are given the mystery bar, where they must come up with a delicious and creative concoction. Moving on to the NFL, the Eagles and the 49ers faced off Sunday. The attendees of the big dance have their tickets lined up, and from the looks of it, they are ready to get down. No, I'm not talking prom night 2012. I'm talking Super Bowl. NFL fans will get to see a Super Bowl rematch with the New York. Hello, and thank you for joining us for this edition of News 2. I'm Netfa Romain. Sandra Gumbs has the night off. Topping this newscast, the only domestic violence shelter that serves St. Thomas and St. John is in danger of closing its doors by the end of the year. The Family Resource Center operates the shelter and says that due to budget cuts and a reduction in grant money, its shelter could possibly shut down and leave several victims of domestic violence without a safe place to stay. Representatives of the Family Resource Center sat down exclusively with News 2's Alison Bourne-Vanek and pleaded to the community for help. The attendees of the big dance have their tickets lined up, and from the looks of it, they are ready to get down. No, I'm not talking prom night 2012. I'm talking Super Bowl. NFL fans will get to see a Super Bowl rematch with the New York. Coming up on News 2, what will the territory do when HOVENSA closes its doors? The unexpected bombshell has led senators to cancel today's committee of the whole meeting. Instead, they're going into a marathon session of closed-door meetings this weekend to attempt to deal with this crisis. Details. Meanwhile, one member of Congress wants the U.S. Energy Information Administration to step in to gather more information on the closure of HOVENSA. Hello and welcome to this edition of News 2. I'm Netfa Romain, filling in for Sandra Gumbs. Topping this newscast, senators were scheduled for a session this morning to discuss urgent matters surrounding government job cuts. That got postponed to this afternoon, and then it was pushed back to Tuesday. Senators say in light of HOVENSA's closure, they have different priorities. News 2 Charlotte Hancock reports. Topping this newscast, police say a woman who killed 2 teenagers and left a third in critical condition fighting for her life was drinking before the accident. While she faces over a decade of jail time, the friends and family left behind in the wake of this tragedy will spend a lifetime trying to make sense of the early morning accident. I spoke with Principal Sharon McCollum Monday, who says they are exhausting all of their resources to make sure the students at the Havana Udurican High School make it through this tragedy. On Monday, Governor John Jongh Jr. will deliver his State of the Territory address. And with the current financial crisis and the looming closure of the HOVENSA refinery, this will be his grimmest delivery to date.
It is probably the toughest one that I'm going to give because it's at a point in time where I would rather not be.
To say tough times are ahead for the Virgin Islands is an understatement. The government has been battling a financial crisis that has so far led to the firing of 500 employees. And with the Senate's recent failure to pass legislation that would close the budget shortfall of $67.5 million, the governor says additional cuts must be made.
So I thought that between our meeting and their session, they would come up with a means by which we could, one, not have to go to the next level of dismissals. And in fact, the majority leader and the Senate president called me and asked me, one, to delay the State of the Territory while they considered this, and then two, not to take any further actions because they believed they'd have a solution. So I was really disappointed. And I said this in our meeting back in December. Don't approve a borrowing to give an indication you're doing something and then not approve the revenue source, because then that's a little bit disingenuous in my opinion.
The governor says the impact of the closure of HOVENSA won't be felt until fiscal year 2013. But to weather the storm of fiscal year 2012, the legislative and executive branch must make some tough calls.
The important part is that in order for this to happen, the legislature's got to be willing to work with us and make some tough decisions. They're not easy decisions, and they're clearly not popular decisions.
Monday night's State of the Territory will definitely be a hard pill to swallow, but the governor says it won't be all gloom and doom.
The message I want to give is one that's real. It touches on reality, but at the same time, I don't think we can stay stuck in that position. We've got to give hope. We've got to give that Not hope that's based on illusion, but hope that's based on the talents we have, the resources we have available, and recognize that things are going to change. That while we're
Netfa Romain, News 2.
Jobs and employees.
A little after 5 a.m. Sunday morning, three friends were making their way down this sidewalk, starting their day off with an early morning exercise. Moments later, it all came to a tragic end. Aaliyah Robles, Jolcia Wilson, and Shatina Garnett were plowed down by this woman, 33-year-old Karen Williams, who while heading east on the Weymouth-Reimer Highway lost control of her 1996 Honda Accord. She ended up on the same sidewalk as the three friends, striking all three in an instant. 17-year-old Aaliyah Robles was pronounced dead on the scene, while 18-year-old Jolcia Wilson died on the way to the hospital. 18-year-old Shatina Garnett is the last of the three to survive. She was listed in critical condition before being flown off island for treatment. At the Havana Eudorican High School Monday morning, students met with grievance counselors. The news of the deaths of the two well-known and well-liked students shook the entire staff and student body to its core.
We have several staff members that I think are in crisis. We had a monitor who was out jogging at the time of the incident and had just passed those young ladies. In fact, he helped to notify the officers that there was a third person. He, of course, is distraught. We have several teachers that are upset. The children, particularly, were very close to them and would go to them lunchtime. Several of our staff members were with one of the young ladies as late as Friday afternoon.
Meanwhile, Karen Williams made her first appearance in VI Superior Court, where she was advised of her rights. Looking like she had not slept in days, Williams stood in front of a judge to formally hear her charges. According to court documents, when given a breathalyzer on the scene, the test revealed that her blood alcohol level was at .161. She was charged with driving under the influence, 2 counts of vehicular homicide, and 1 count of reckless driving. Her car remains in the police impound, mangled, a small glimpse into the horrific scene that unfolded Sunday morning. Back at Ken, it's going to be a long road ahead, but McCollum says she knows they will make it through this together.
What I have experienced with these young people is they will grieve, but they're very resilient. Our children are very strong, and I know based on past experiences that we will get through this. It is a
Federal authorities executed a search warrant on the office of Senator Alvin Williams here at the Irby-Otley Legislative Hall on Wednesday. FBI, U.S. Marshal Service, and several other federal agencies arrived here a little before noon and have been here for several hours. Meanwhile, lawmakers say they're not sure what the search is in relation to. Senator, anything you could tell us about what's going on inside?
I have no idea. No one came to me, so I wasn't asking anything.
FBI spokesman Harry Rodriguez says agents executed a search warrant as part of an investigation, but would not go into detail.
I'm not confirming or denying the fact that this warrant is being executed at the office of Senator Alvin Williams.
While the FBI would not confirm the search of Senator Williams' office, Majority Leader Senator Celestino White did.
Apparently the federal investigators, the U.S. Marshals and members of the FBI today came into the legislature building specifically to do a search of one office within the legislature. Well, mainly 2 offices. They were armed with a search warrant that was specific to search the office of Senator Alvin Williams and to also go in and search the office of the MIS, which is the brain, the computer brain of the legislature.
Senator White and Williams were in St. Croix for a Government Operations, Energy, and Veterans Affairs meeting. They flew back immediately after hearing about the search.
I was asked by the president to return back to St. Thomas, and so now I am here. Senator Alvin Williams, at the time that this occurred, was also on the island of St. Croix.
As to the whereabouts of Senator Williams, News 2 was unable to make contact.
He's shocked and surprised, and he would like to know exactly what is the reason, what is the purpose of his office being searched.
In an effort to clear up rumors of a shutdown of the Senate building, White implored members of the media to come inside. We gained access for the first time since the search began at around 3:30. While it seemed to be back to business as usual, one office remained off limits. Netfa Romain, News 2. The basketball court and baseball field in Smith Bay has become the shame of residents and, more importantly, the kids who play basketball here every night.
I want them to clean up everything, soak up all the water, or rebuild the court and thing.
After weeks of rain, the basketball court has come to resemble a swamp. What's worse is that the upkeep has been ignored, along with the kids who play here. Kids like Sheamal, who just wants a place to be a kid, so badly that he's willing to risk his health to play basketball, including braving waters that are surely infested with germs and bacteria.
We need help. We need somebody to cut the grass and clean up the court because we need it. We don't want to be on the streets.
Ivan Williams, who lived in Smith Bay some 20 years ago and played here at this very park as a child growing up, says that what these kids are going through is a shame.
This is unacceptable. We can do better than this for the kids. This is totally unacceptable.
Ivan says he's willing to volunteer his time to clean up the park, but needs the officials from Sports, Parks, and Recreation to step up to the plate.
I was told nothing can be done until the water is dried up. This water needs to be pumped out. I believe if we wait for this water to drop, it's going to be another 6 or 7 months. We have mosquitoes out here, rats. This is totally unacceptable. We can do better than this for the kids.
So kids can get back to their favorite pastime in a much better and clean environment. Netfa Romain, News 2. Shoppers were given a serious scare here at the Tutu Park Mall Tuesday afternoon after gunfire erupted. 2 people have been transported to the Schneider Regional Medical Center for treatment, while police are trying to piece together what led to this shooting. The mall was immediately put on lockdown around noon when shots rang out near the main entrance. An 18-year-old man was shot in the thigh, while a 23-year-old man suffered a gunshot wound to the head.
I see a man was laying there and people was around.
We learned that police have 2 persons of interest in custody, and with several security cameras posted outside, the shooting may have been caught on tape.
We are fully cooperating with all government agencies, including the USVI Police Department, to solve and, investigate the senseless act of violence.
A police source told News 2 they believe the shooting was gang-related, a violent culture that continues to grow in the territory, leaving residents living in fear.
It's not good enough what's going on. Something needs to be done. It's a shame. People are not safe no more.
I don't know why the young kids gotta be killing each other for no part of reason. I think that's right to be doing, especially in front where people gotta be coming shopping every day. Nah, it's not safe to send them us no more.
At news time, the 23-year-old man was being prepared to be flown out to a Puerto Rican hospital for treatment. Hospital spokesperson Sam Top told News 2 that he required surgical services that he could not get at the Schneider Regional Medical Center. Netfa Romain, News 2.
Coming up on News 2. After the governor's State of the Territory address, we sit down for a one-on-one. Senators discuss some of the implications of the closure of HOVENSA with energy options for the USVI. Plus, the 68th anniversary of Carnival is going to be big. With a kickoff like this, we'll tell you what the Carnival Committee has in store. Hello, welcome, and thank you for joining us in this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Gumansing. Top in this newscast, the state of the territory is troubled. As reported, Governor John DeYoung Jr. delivered a stinging State of the Territory address Monday night. The government faces a budget shortfall of $67.5 million and the loss of some $100 million in yearly revenue from the closure of HOVENSA. The tone of the speech was one of anger, where the governor lashed out at the 29th legislature. 2 days later, the governor sits down with News 2's Netfa Romain for this exclusive discussion on the state of the territory.
Thanks, Sandy. On Monday, Governor John DeYoung Jr. gave his sixth and his most turbulent state of the territory to date. In his address, the governor discussed numerous issues from the crippling effects of the closure of HOVENSA to the current fiscal crisis, where government is set to send home hundreds of employees. The governor joins us on set this evening to discuss the troubled state of the territory. Governor, thanks for joining us once again.
Thank you for inviting me.
To say your state of the territory was on the offense would be probably an understatement. Do you think you caught senators by surprise with the tone of the speech on Monday night?
I think so. I think they expected a state of the territory that was similar to what historically has been, which is a list of our accomplishments, a list of our initiatives going forward. But I think
strong showing on the first day of the Taste of the Caribbean, things really started to heat up for the USVI culinary team. On Friday morning, Kunal Chakrabarti competed in the pastry division while Afia Augustus chopped it up in the junior chef competition. Kunal ended up taking top honors for his pastry creation, winning gold, and was named Pastry Chef of the Year.
No! It's an honor to be inducted in the Hall of Fame, and I'm really, really happy, and it's very humbling to be really appreciated in this way.
Meanwhile, Afia captured bronze in her category. Friday night, though, the team was really put to the test in the Taste of the Islands competition. This year, each team was tasked with creating 2 savory tastings, 1 enticing dessert, and 1 rum-based island signature cocktail.
Every island is different. As we all know, the Caribbean is truly a melting pot, influenced by many different cultures, and you need to represent your island. Don't make something that you typically would not. Make your national dishes, and you're going to do really well.
If you thought cooking for 1 person was tough, try cooking for 200. That's the task of Team U.S. Virgin Islands here in Miami, Florida at the Taste of the Caribbean competition. And here is where things got intense preparing to serve 200 people. But for Team USVI, it was business as usual.
We're looking wonderful. Macaroni and cheese going here right now. And after that, we come back and we finish off the competition.
For USVI Hotel and Tourism Association President Lisa Hamilton, the competition left her on the edge of her seat.
I think they're doing great. Of course, I think I get way more nervous than they do at this point. It's always the final countdown.
Moments later, the VI chefs emerged with their dishes, desserts, and drinks, ready for the sold-out crowd who came out for the Taste of the Islands.
Flavors are beautiful, the people enjoying the food, and we got everything out on time, and we're there. I think we're there.
And from the look of it, the crowd did not leave the VI booth disappointed. From Miami, Netfa Romain, News 2.
We need to run the numbers one last time so everybody can see where we are, where we stand, and what the final but yet unofficial numbers. As Mr. Abramson pointed out, we have absentee ballots that are still pending, that are out for both districts. But as we are where we are tonight, here's where we stand with respect to the Democratic primary for governor, lieutenant governor, senator at large, and the Senate. Of course, the winner and the Democratic nominee for governor in the upcoming November election is John DeYoung Jr., and Mr. DeYoung won the primary with 7,041 votes.
On Saturday, January 16, 2010, a team of 12 doctors, nurses, and support staff from the Roy Schneider Regional Hospital on St. Thomas, U.S. Virgin Islands, flew to Haiti with more than 2,200 pounds of food and donated medical supplies. The devastation was immediately visible as they landed in Port-au-Prince.
There was nothing I could recognize, no building to say, okay, we're flying into Port-au-Prince. So until we got to the airport, which was the area that was the least affected.
The airport was filled with people trying to leave, a lot of them with U.S. passports. The U.S. Embassy had a line that went on for a block.
People were just wandering aimlessly. The dust in the air was so bad. You could feel it in your eyes and your throat.
We ended up going out into kind of where the downtown area was, near the presidential palace, and it was just building after building after building, just pancaked. And you'd be driving by and you could smell, death in the air.
People living in tents and on the streets and taking baths in the streets.
The original plan had been for the team to support a UN field hospital at the airport, But once there, they realized the field hospital was overwhelmed by patients. A 7-man team comprised of members of St. Croix Rescue and St. Thomas Rescue also headed to Haiti on January 22nd to help local nonprofit Haiti Community Support run a makeshift clinic.
It was Sunday morning. It started off like a normal, bright, pretty Sunday. We didn't go to church that morning. I guess because we had gotten word that, okay, this thing is coming.
Good evening, everyone. The territory braces as Hurricane Hugo continues to pound our area. As of 9 p.m. this evening, the center of Hurricane Hugo was located at latitude 17.2 north, longitude 60.
I remember, I think it was Wednesday or Thursday, I got a call from a friend of mine, Roy Watlington. He was a professor at UVI then. He was at University of Miami, and he was across the street from the National Hurricane Center. And he called me up and he said he had been looking at the storm and that he hopes we were ready because he felt that there was a very good chance that it would hit St. Croix.
I remember folks mentioning that something was coming, but I don't remember any sense of urgency or anything like what we experience now.
Well, it was calm. I mean, prior to Hurricane Hugo, I mean, when we hear that hurricane is coming, it's never that serious.
I was born and grew up here, and I had never seen and experienced a hurricane in my life.
Yeah, we thought we were going to go surfing the next day, and we did actually go surfing the next day, but we thought we were going to enjoy surfing the next day.
There was a feeling that some way that we would have been spared, you know, from the hurricane. A lot of people didn't believe that it would have actually hit us.
It wasn't until it really got close, the day of, I would say, when people really started scrambling.
The only thing we kind of really did to prepare for it was my grandfather had put up some wooden plywood boards on top of the glass door. And I don't really remember if we had much supplies. I mean, we really didn't know what to expect.
People had said, well, put tape, like put X's on your windows, okay? As if this tape was going to stop a 200-mile-an-hour wind from blowing out, you know, windows. But nobody knew anything about shutters or things of that nature.
Our house was indestructible, right, because it had a concrete roof and was fully shuttered. And we actually were planning a hurricane party. The whole thing was a party.
A couple of days before the hurricane, my wife and I were felled by fish poisoning. So naturally, when those winds began to blow and we were very weak, could hardly get out of the bed.